'Twas away last spring, I believe in May, when old Si Hubbard to me did say, I hear a circus is coming to town, suppose we go and see the clown. So we sold our barley, oats, and corn, in fact we most cleaned out the barn. Then went and bought 2 brand new suits, with white plug hats and red top boots. And when the circus got around, we 2 were the first ones on the ground. Says Si to me, let's go get tight, pull down the tents and have a fight. Not much, says I'll raise no feud, for you see I was skeered of old Hey Rube. So I proposed some red lemonade and guber peas, for which I paid. 'Twas a jolly good cuss who kept the store, so we thought when he asked us to have some more. Says he, I like you boys first rate, so don't stand back, I'll stand the treat. Then Si and I just pitched right in, and the way we ate and drank was a sin. But when we turned to go away, we heard that gosh darn sharper say, $4 quick, you rubes don't wait, or for the sideshow you'll be late. So I paid the cash like a darn full cuss, and off to the sideshow we did rush. When we got inside, what sights we'd seen was enough to turn our whiskers green. There was a tattooed man all covered with ink, and a dog-faced boy called the missing link. But the sight that made us fairly shake was a great big sleepy-looking snake. So I pulled his jackknife out real quick, and up to the cage he did slip. He stabbed that snake and jumped away, but I laughed 'cause the critter was stuffed with hay. Now a parrot in a cage close by next caught the gaze of foolish Si. Si didn't know this bird could talk, but when it called him a country gawk, he got right mad, and just for spite, he knocked that bird clean out of sight. But a monkey who was in the cage at Si's conduct got in a rage, and to show his love for his feathered friend, a helping hand he allowed to lend. So he grabbed poor Si by his red goatee, and it made the whole crowd laugh to see. Si tugged and pulled to get away, but the pesky monkey had come to stay, and he pulled Si's whiskers so all fired hard that his chin was as long as the neck of a gourd. All at once I seed Si smile, and then I knew his troubles was at an end. And sure enough, with his knife so keen, he cut his whiskers close to the chin. When I see that face with the goatee off, I coughed and laughed and laughed and coughed, and 2 girls fainted at the terrible sight, and the rest of the crowd all took to flight. Then the showman threw us out in a hurry, and the gosh darn band played Annie Laurie. Says I with the next thing on the docket, for we both had money in our pocket. As if in answer to my question, we both looked in the one direction, and there before our very eyes was a big balloon of enormous size. And a man in the basket in skin-tight clothes says, cut the rope and let her go. Says Si to me, I'll spoil his racket, and he grabbed a rope which was hitched to the basket and tried to hold the balloon to the ground, but the balloon was the strongest, so Si soon found, and to the horror of all lookers on, up went poor Si, tied to the balloon. When I see Si going, I run to his aid, and a sudden dash for the rope I made, but my feet got tangled in the coil, and I, like Si, left native soil. Then up in the air like a rocket I shot, and I called to the man in the balloon to stop, but he only smiled into my face and asked me how I liked the place. Not much, says I, you skinny dude, then calm me down, says he, you Rube. Says I to Si, take out your knife and cut the rope and save our lives. And Si in his pocket his hand did slip to get his knife, but lost his grip and lit right square upon my face, and then we both fell into space. Look out, we're coming, I cried out loud. Oh, we don't care, came back from the crowd. But instead of lighting in the spot I meant, we came smack down on the animal tent. When we lit, the tent began to tear, and to save my life I grabbed Si's hair, but his hair broke off and down I went with Si on top inside the tent. And we lit so hard on a candy shop that the whole darn band in the circus stopped, and then the folks came running out to see what the rumpus was all about. And one of the troopers wanted to know if we had paid to get in the show. When I told him we had just dropped in to try and hear the circus ring, he up with a club and hit me a crack, which nearly broke my pesky back. This made me mad, and up I rose and hit him square upon the nose. He cried, "Hey Rube!" and to my surprise, Hey Rubes came a-running as thick as flies. And they grabbed us both and tore our clothes, and they said they teach us to steal in shows. "We didn't steal in," says I to the crowd. "Why no," says Si, "we dropped in from the clouds." But a constable who had a badge on, and like a dog's tail he kept a wag on, told Si and I to get inside and with him take a little ride. When at the calaboose he stopped, he showed us in and the door he locked, and said for being two big J's he'd have to give us 60 days. That was enough for us. That was enough for us. We'll never go to another show, for that was enough for us.